questions that you would like to ask the speaker then and there, please keep it short. Otherwise, if it's a long, which is an explanatory one, we can hold it on until Q&A session. Those who provided a valid PMI member ID with first name and last name according to the PMI profile, one PDU will be automatically credited within 2 weeks. We encourage open discussion, but please keep your comments respectful and on topic. The session's recording will be posted on the PMIPCC YouTube channel. We want everyone to stay until the very end of the program for a digital selfie. At the end of the session, please make sure everyone is prepared to turn on their cameras. Okay, so bring on your best smiles. Let's officially start our live webinar.
Kit, I just wanted to talk about a couple of things. Yeah, first of all, thanks all our team. I am Sivakumar, the Vice President of PMIPCC, as well as Events Director. Thanks for joining this Saturday. I think more than 70 people have joined. That shows the enthusiasm of PMIPCC members. So it's a very nice topic, like NLP powered Scrum Master and Agile Coach. I'm also waiting to hear from our speaker. So over to you, Kriti, to introduce the speaker and ask Vani to come online on video too.
Yes. Now, today's topic is an interesting one. We do have a topic for NLP powered Scrum Master. Now, the speaker, what we have here is Miss Vani SuriaPrakash. She's a PCC ICF. Now, Vani holds 18 plus years of experience in agile coaching, training teams and individuals in their journey of adapting to change and innovation for the delivery of better products and services. She excels in promoting agile best practices across the business. She's a TEDx speaker. She's a certified generative AI practitioner with hands-on experience in delivering Gen AI tools training across multiple organizations. Now, I think I will take approximate 40 minutes just to introduce her. So what I'll do is I'll quickly hand over this to Vani so that she can take you towards the NLP powered topic. So Vani, over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kriti, for this warm welcome. Thank you, Shiva and Pallavi. Very good morning, good day to each one of you present here. Am I audible? Is that clear, Kriti?
Yes.
Okay. I generally start in terms of starting with a gratitude note. My heartfelt gratitude to the person who introduced me here and also to all the members who are being chairpersons today in terms of hosting this event and being a facilitator for this event. And to each and every one of you, as Shiva started, right? Nothing like this on a Saturday morning, having about 80 plus people on the call. So my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you taking your time and also to your family members and your organizations who are supporting you on this. On that note, yeah, definitely my gratitude to my own mentors and my family member, without whom I'll not be wherever I am. So I'll get started. Is it okay if I can share my screen, Kriti?
Yes, I've stopped sharing so you can start sharing.
Wonderful. Thank you. So just quickly in terms of people who have joined, what came to your mind as you saw the topic? What was your expectation? If you could just put it on the chat window, then it would be like super helpful for me to just go through a few of them. Because Shiva was also saying he's equally looking forward to understand, okay, what is this NLP powered Scrum Mastering? So what was there in your mind and thoughts when you saw the topic of the day?
Please feel free to type it in chat.
It's AI powered project management. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Pallavi. Sorry.
No, I was saying the same thing, to use the chat window to type the responses, but now it's there. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Shiva says, magic wand in the hand of the Scrum Master. I wish to be a Dumbledore, but let's see if I can at least make you a Harry Potter or a Hermione towards the end. Neuro Linguistic Programming coupled with Agile, yes. How can we add AI in the role of Scrum Master role? AM for an aspirant, okay. How can I enhance my Scrum Master experience? NLP code. Okay, perfect. So people who have said NLP, yes, definitely there is going to be component. Though I'm calling this as NLP powered Scrum Master and Agile Coach more from the context perspective that was given to me. This is something that you can practice as part of any role that you're playing today. Few parameters which I'm going to say is going to be definitely useful and beneficial for you as part of your current roles, your aspiring roles, and also in terms of your personal life for sure. Of the scenarios, the examples might vary, but definitely this is going to be very much helpful and useful. With no further ado, let me quickly introduce you to what is in store from this topic today. So today's journey, the path, we will talk about why NLP for Scrum Masters, what kind of aspects we will introduce you to, rapport, which is one of the most important elements, because when you say ceremonies, though the framework calls out for ceremonies, meetings, etc., no individual will be okay to open up or share freely to a stranger. This is applicable for you and me as well. So even as individuals, if we wanted to go and talk about certain aspects or ask for help from a stranger, none of us are like 100% ready and willingly able to do it. So what will make that communication, collaboration to happen effectively is as a Scrum Master, as an Agile Coach, as a project manager, when you take initiatives to build the rapport. And there are three basic steps is part of the science of rapport building, which is what I'm going to introduce you to today as part of the rapport. And then the meta model, coaching questions. And I don't know, because I was not aware about the first image that Kriti was sharing in terms of the fun facts, right? Which is very much resonatable to the meta model coaching questions. As soon as somebody tells a statement, hey, I've received a complaint against you from the client. So from that, what is the information do I infer? If I should not react and if I'll have to respond, then meta model is one of the biggest aspect which you can use. And here, like as Shiva said, the magic wand is in this meta model in terms of coaching questions, which I'm also going to give you a couple of examples and scenarios which you can use in your day-to-day roles and operations. Reframing, changing the story is another topic, another very powerful element with respect to NLP, because most of us have certain things that are wired in our brain that makes us either feel stuck or makes us feel low. If it is becoming a catalyst, it is well and good, but sometimes I'll have to change my story. A very simple example is I am a procrastinator, because this is another common word or the gimmicks word which we hear in market, right, from individuals, irrespective of what age group, what is your background, what is your education, what is your job, doesn't matter. But a common thing that we keep hearing as coaches in the industry is I am a procrastinator. Now, if I really have to break that and take action, then I'll have to start reframing the story that I tell to myself. So instead of telling I'm a procrastinator, understanding the context from where that is coming in, we will start giving them reframing statements which will enable them to change the story. So similarly, using that NLP concept, I'm also going to give certain examples in our day-to-day Scrum roles and Agile roles. How do we use reframing to change the story so that it becomes more co-creating and forward-moving rather than feeling stuck? And the other concept from NLP, which I'm going to talk you through, which you can use as part of your ceremonies and etc., is anchoring in terms of bringing that team energy. Now, most of us here would have heard in terms of organizations asking you to build a high-performing team. As coaches, Scrum Masters, as project managers, you're all expected to build a high-performing team. So how do you do that? Anchoring is one technique or tool which you can use in terms of bringing that high energy, positive energy within your team. So which is not going to be so fake as well. Because most of the time, there is another feeling that comes from people, right? You go and try to be very positive. People say, hey, they want something to get done from us. So that is the reason where they are putting so much motivation. So rather than making it feel or sound so fake, how can I make it to build the team rapport and the team energy is where I will be using anchoring as a tool. And then, sorry, this Milton model is not there as part of it. And I'm extremely sorry to bring that up. So we will talk about these three aspects or four aspects in today's session on how you could use as part of your day-to-day operations and day-to-day roles that you're playing. And the first topic that I would introduce you to is the presuppositions. There are multiple presuppositions. Here I'm going to talk about only few elements in terms of the presuppositions, which are very much applicable and usable on a day-to-day basis. There are various others as well, but for the interest of time, I've picked few most important elements which you can get started to use whatever be the roles and also in your personal life. And the first and foremost presupposition, and these are more like underlying principles, laws which NLP provides for individuals. From psychological perspective also, these are very much applicable. So map is not the territory. When we say map is not the territory, it is more in terms of identifying or understanding, okay, what more is there? This is what I know, and we kind of believe that, okay, I can only do so much, but there is over and beyond that. So as an individual, as a scrum master, coach, or a product manager, project manager, I will have to first believe that whatever is known to me is not the territory. There is much more to explore and expand. Again, very common thing, right? If Columbus or other explorers did not have that curiosity, if they believed that, okay, this is the piece of land where we all belong, we wouldn't have explored or uncovered different countries or states for that matter. So the same way, you should be ready to uncover things from you. And for all these presuppositions that I'm going to introduce you to today, I would like to just give a story so that it gets hooked and you remember this even if you don't remember anything else from the session, right? And map is not the territory. One of the biggest legends from our times, which I always look upon, is Mr. Nelson Mandela. Remember how this person's journey started? He was there in a prison, and the government was showing a very clear map that he's a criminal, he's a terrorist, a threat to be contained. So that was the kind of map that people were projecting on him. People believed the government, the one who took charge, that particular government said, hey, this is your map. You're a criminal, you're a terrorist. And the entire system of laws and walls around that map is how it was revolving. But Mandela did not accept that map, right? He very strongly believed that that is not his identity. Being a criminal or a terrorist was not his identity. He did not accept that map as his territory. Instead, he started widening his map. Inside the prison, with so much going around, he studied law. He learned the language of his captors, the Africans. So he kind of learned about those aspects. So he could speak to them directly. And throughout the journey, throughout the period where he was there in the jail, he kind of maintained his dignity, his humor, and his vision. And that is how he was able to survive through so many years of injustice inside prison. Instead of saying, oh, why did this happen to me? Why am I put into prison? I did not do anything against. Why am I called as terrorist or criminal? He did not pick the map or the identity that was imposed on him. Instead, he kind of believed and he started exploring and expanding his map. And that is how he was able to do and achieve whatever he wanted to achieve. So his internal map never had been a prisoner. And now, why did I even pick this presupposition to talk about, right? Because one of the common things that I hear from people when I do sessions to them, both Scrum Master, Agile Coaching, is people say this is more a thankless job. Nobody recognizes me for what I do and what I bring to the table. And my humble request and invitation to all of you is, personally, first, let's start letting go of that map. Let us start expanding and exploring. How do you maintain dignity? How do you build that respect by engaging with people? And when you're talking to team also, your team cannot restrict themselves from the mindset of, oh, this is what we are capable of. We can't do more than this. We are incapable of doing this, etc. Instead of that identity, ask them, what does the sprint look like from your perspective? So always try to explore their territory or explore their map so that you are giving an opportunity to expand. So this is the first presupposition which I would like to introduce, which you can use as a magic wand, both for you as well as your teams. And then the second one is, people have all the resources they need. This is the second law which NLP tells, right? People already have all the resources they need. Now, the core value system of Scrum and as well in other scaling techniques like SAFe, we talk about a value called as respect. My personal belief system and my value system is respect people for who they are. Not necessary that everybody will be capable of doing certain things. I am capable of doing something which is not being possible by others, and the vice versa also is applicable. And I also believe that whenever people come with a problem, their solution lies within them. They have all the resources that they need, or they have the potential to identify what resource is missing and what do they have to do. And when I kind of value this, when I kind of respect this particular thought process, when I believe that people already have most of the resources they need, I will not tell them what has to be done, instead of enable them. So this is where, as a Scrum Master, the so-called aspect of empowering and enabling people to become self-sustained or self-managed team comes into picture. The more you believe, you will be able to direct them so that the accountability and ownership lies within them. Again, a story to enhance this, right? I don't know how many of you have heard this girl from Pakistan. She was a Nobel Peace Prize laureate. Her name was Malala. So she was called as the girl with a notebook. And this is in a very recent times, in our time window, right? In the year 2008, she was a Taliban girl, and she was banned in terms of going to school. So that was the rule that was imposed. And this girl, who was 11 years old at that point in time, she had a notebook, a pen, and a voice. And then that is all she had. Her father ran a small school, and she kind of made people believe that she wanted to fight with only this notebook, pen, and a voice. People had guns, they had power. People said, "You are just a child." But Malala looked at what she already had. With that notebook, pen, and voice, she started writing an anonymous blog for the BBC, where she described the daily life under the Taliban rule. And it felt like a girl who loved learning and was being told to disappear. So that was the context which she was writing and which she was communicating to the world using that anonymous blog. And the world started reading and responding or reciprocating back to what she wrote. Slowly from there, from anonymous blog, she started speaking in interviews. There were a lot of documentaries that were done in public forums. And in the year 2012, 4 years from this window, they shot her on a school bus point blank. Remember 2008, she was just 11 years old. And 2012, when this incident happened, all that she was is 15 years. Still, she is a child. School bus, because she's still part of the school age only. She has not gone into even college. Apart from all these aspects, though she was shot, she survived. And the moment she woke up in a hospital in Birmingham, the first word she uttered was not about revenge. She asked, "I want to go back to school." And that kind of gave her the youngest Nobel Peace Laureate in history in the year 2014. All she believed was the resource that she had, and the resource that she had at that point in time was a notebook, a pen, and a voice. So every one of us has something within us. So when you feel that there is something which is not moving as part of your organization, as part of the role that you play, believe that there is something in you which will enable you to take your next step. The same, apart from you evolving, you're going to give this aspect to your team members as well. So stop solving, start coaching. As I said, the more I respect people for what they have, and I believe that they have something within them to identify their resources, instead of telling, I ask them. That's where you're stopping the solving mode and you're going into the coaching mode. And this is again applicable not just to Scrum Masters and Agile coaches, because today many organizations are investing in managers playing the role of a coach rather than just being a people manager. And then the third aspect is in terms of where you have every behavior as a positive intent. Now, this is also, again, we keep saying this, right? For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Similarly, in NLP, it was told that behind every action, there is an intention. So whenever you are seeing an action, when you don't have to be reactive, you will have to be responsive. Just remember this. Whatever people do, there is an intent behind it. They are trying to solve for something that they are having. It might be insecurity. It might be the current problem they are facing. It might be anything. So go into the roots of why that action or the behavior came out rather than concluding that or projecting that as their identity. So the more you understand that there is an intent behind it, right? It becomes collaborative and conversational. Again, Steve Jobs, one person whom we have all looked up as part of our tenure. So this person, he was kicked out of Apple. And when he returned to Apple, the company was in bankruptcy, right? The board fired him like earlier, and then they brought him back. And once he came back, what he did was he started walking in and he did something which shocked the entire organization and also the people around globally. He cut 70% of Apple product. He stopped them. Engineers who were working on that became very, very furious. Managers within the same Apple organization protested against it. People who just looked without information thought that it was a destruction. Already the company was in bankruptcy. People felt that, okay, this man is taking revenge for him being kicked out earlier. So there was so much talks that were going around the world and also within the organization. But there was a pure intent behind that specific action that he did. His intention was never chaos. His intention was clarity. He believed that, okay, a confused company cannot make products which is going to change the world. So all he said is he wanted people to feel that they are creating products which is going to change the world. And he said, let's focus only on 4. And there are a group of people where they focused on each individual project. Just that 4 products is what they wanted to build in, irrespective of taking 10,000 different things. So the more clarity it was brought by pausing 70% of other Apple products, now the productivity increased, the quality increased, the sales increased, the kind of information that was received by public also kind of differed. The way they saw the quality of the product and the intent of that product, it kind of changed the perspective that people had. So whenever there is something happening, always think that, okay, for every action, there is a intention or positive intention. Let me try to understand that intention behind it. So resistance, whenever you see resistance from your team, ask this question in terms of what is creating that resistance. Why do they do what they do? It might be because somebody in the past have told them something. People did not believe, people under stress. There might be multiple reasons. And in today's current very situation of the market, it is also with respect to the job and the existence of them in the system. So all this might lead to certain actions. So try to understand. The more you try to understand the intent behind it, you will be able to win them in terms of what you wanted them to do rather than facing the resistance. And the other presupposition, which is very true and very applicable both for you as well as your team members, are you cannot not communicate. So read the room, not just the sticky notes. And again, what NLP says is mind and body are part of the same system. You have something in your mind and your body will not be very stable. You will have to train your body to do that. If you're under extreme stress, anxiety, pressure, or you are under fear, your body will also react accordingly. That is the reason when people have fear and also when they are in love, they feel a lot of things, right? Either they are feeling butterflies flying in the stomach, or there is something caught up in the throat, or in the chest, they feel the weight in the chest or in the head region. So there are various aspects. So your mind and your body are part of the same system. And that is the reason why you cannot not communicate, because the more you process in the mind, your body language, your facial expression is going to change. Again, from our very old mythology, right? And I'm not taking any particular caste, community, creed here, but from the mythology aspect, Mahabharata, the Arjuna, who went into the Kurukshetra war, he was a good person who was very strong in terms of archery. People knew him till date for his greater archer skill set and technique that he used, right? And Kurukshetra war, when he picked up that particular archer, the person who was so strong, the whole world was looking up to him as a best archer in the world. And now when this person picked up that archery, the bow and the arrow in his hand, his mouth went dry and he started trembling. Why did that happen? Because when he lifted his bow and arrow and he saw who was in front of him, all he saw was his teachers, his cousins, his family on the other side who was waging war. And the one thing that he said, Krishna, at that point was, hey, Krishna, I cannot fight. All I'm seeing is my teachers, my cousins, my family. How do you think I can fight against them? The reason is it was not because he did not have skill set. It is not because he did not have confidence. The reason was his mind was in conflict. He felt it was so against his own family, his own teachers, and he's not respecting them. That mind conflict created that numbness, the trembling in his legs, and all those aspects. And it has got nothing to do with skill set or the confidence level. So the same thing happens for us as Scrum Masters, coaches, and project managers, and also for your teams. So try to read the room, not just the sticky notes. And the next is failure is equal to feedback. Now in Agile world, we always keep telling, right? Nothing is a failure, it is all a learning. And even in every motivational speech, you kind of hear this. So if this is going to be the situation, how does it apply? In NLP presupposition, what are we talking about? The psychological safety that you can bring in every retro, where you say, hey, nothing is a failure. These are all feed forwards. More than feedback, I use the term feed forwards. And what did NLP have to do with this, or what did NLP tell about this? There is no failure, only feedback and learning is the presupposition that NLP gave. Again, my lookup factor, the story behind this particular thing, which always gets hooked to me, is our own fond of scientists and our former president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Most of us would have heard this story, right? 1979, where the ISRO launched a satellite and then it failed. And then there was a moment when the rocket kind of first, even before launch, there was an alert which came up, which said, hey, there is something wrong. The system gave that alert. And then Abdul Kalam was standing there, and then there were a group of people who were surrounding him, and then they were giving their own theories, suggestions, calculations, and they said, no, we are good to go. And Abdul Kalam, being the project manager who headed that initiative at that point in time, took those pointers and he made a decision for us to go ahead. So they kind of overrode the system trigger and manually they launched the vehicle, the satellite. First few seconds, things were going good. It was happening. The satellite was moving further. But after the few seconds, the rocket fell into the Bay of Bengal. Few minutes after the launch. And now the entire nation was watching this, right? There were people who were standing just outside the room to take interviews and get to notify about the world about this particular launch. And everybody were just stuck in shock. At this point in time, his boss, he came and he said, I'm going to take care of the press. And he walked to the press and he said, the issue is because of me. Nowhere the leader kind of pointed it on Kalam or the team who made the decision. The director there would have simply said, the program head was Abdul Kalam and Abdul Kalam made the decision, but he never did that. And years later in 1980, the same satellite was launched and this time it was success. Abdul Kalam still headed that. And this time the leader allowed Kalam to represent in the press. This story we all would have heard. But years after, Kalam in one of the interviews, he said, I learned one of the biggest and valuable lessons that day, which no education, no book taught me, which was my live experience. First lesson was the failure. It taught me a lesson, what we will have to do to overcome that particular issue that we were facing. So that was the lesson. The second biggest valuable lesson, which no book taught, was as a leader, how do I take charge without letting go of my team? So that is your psychological safety net that his leader built for him. So similarly, as a Scrum Master, coach, and a manager, build that psychological safe environment for your teams in your retros and other areas where you're getting their pointers in a very open forum. And then the last presupposition, which I would like to introduce you today, is flexibility is the key to success. Again, this is one of the biggest elements, right? We all keep telling we'll have to adapt. We'll have to be very adaptable. Now, remember, recently we all experienced globally in terms of the COVID days. Initially, when people said lockdown and other things, it was a huge shift. People didn't know how do they survive. Organizations didn't know how do they work on it because there were organizations, there were projects which even did not allow you to take your mobile phones or camera phones inside the ODC. But they allowed you to work from home. That was a big shift for organization. They were very flexible in terms of accommodating that. People did not go and purchase a 4 BHK for 4 people living in a room because all 4 people in certain houses were on calls. Husband would be there in official call, wife would be there in official call, kids would have gone to the schools. But we did not have 4 different rooms, right? We did not have the luxury to go and purchase. We were very flexible in terms of how do we accommodate so that we don't step into each other's shoes. We knew when to mute and when to unmute. Even when there were background noise, people were ready to accept. So people were also flexible. So flexibility is the key to success, both as me, as a Scrum Master, coach, or manager, and also how do I bring that to my team members? What kind of flexibility they have to adopt so that it is more about being agile rather than just doing agile. So these are the 7 presuppositions from NLP, which will go very, very handy for our day-to-day operations, both in personal and your professional life. And as I said, these are not just the presuppositions, right? There are various other things as well, which you can explore in terms of NLP if you're interested further. The next concept is in terms of, and Kriti, just stop me if there are any questions that has popped up, then I'll be able to pause and take that up.
There's a question. Does this principle have any scientific evidence? This is from Surya.
In NLP, yes, they do have evidence because this is being practiced. So the more when we use, it is not just used as a principle in terms of trusting them, right? We kind of use this with various other techniques in terms of rapport building, in terms of NLP. But for you as a Scrum Master coach, whatever I have said here, you can directly go and apply that and it does work. There are proofs because one such proof is me, the living proof, because I use this as part of my teams day in and day out, even today as part of my consulting journey. That kind of keeps me grounded first so that I become more understanding in terms of asking rather than telling. So that's the first step towards the shift.
Great. Thank you, Vani.
Thank you, Kriti. Thank you so much for bringing that question. Now, rapport is the second topic which I said I'll introduce you. And as I said, right, one tagline which I want you all to get hooked or anchored is no individual would be ready to come and open up to a stranger, irrespective of whether it is you or me. Even today, if I'll have to go and talk about my innermost feelings, be vulnerable in front of a stranger, I would not be ready to do that. The same goes for others as well. So for which it is my responsibility as a coach or our responsibility as a Scrum Master, project manager, and coach to build the rapport. It will not happen the other way around. Our team members are not going to take any effort to build rapport. It is purely our responsibility to build the rapport. And for you to successfully, and again, coming to the context of this session, right, as a Scrum Master and Agile coach, this is going to be the foundation of every ceremony. If you should not feel that it is a thankless job, if you should not feel that you are kind of being alienated by your teams, you're facing resistance always, the first step is build a rapport with them. Human to human connection is what will work rather than only talking about the process and jargons. So the science behind it, how do I build rapport? Number one is matching and mirroring, right? Now, how do I match and mirror? So first is in terms of the pace and the tone at which the person speaks, the energy level. We are not asking you to mimic the person because we don't have to be sarcastic. We are not being judgmental. So whenever we say matching and mirroring, say in terms of if it is a in-person meeting that I'm doing, and if the person is too involved where they are coming forward and then they are talking to you, then you also lean forward. If the person is holding like this, where they're thinking, they're becoming curious. So whenever such pauses are made based on the question that you've asked, you also kind of keep your position so that it enables them to see and then it kind of fastens up the thought process. And these are very scientific again for people who are still thinking, hey, is this scientifically proven? Yes. And in terms of whenever they speak, whenever you have a person who is being very fast and they're an urgent speaker, listen to them and slowly kind of low down your voice so that that calm energy comes in, particularly when people are coming in, hey, you know what, Vani, today there has been an issue. We are not able to go live. Okay. You understand the urgency of the content, but that doesn't have been this way. Then you kind of lower the voice. Oh, you're saying that we can't go live today? Okay. Let's first figure out what is that is stopping us or blocking us from going live. So the moment I calm down my voice, I'm becoming slow in terms of articulating each and every word. The energy shifts for the other person as well. They also come out of that panicky, urgent mode to a very normal pace. When you have a very quiet team member for various reasons, right? Now, in that way, soften your tone, reduce your pace. Because as a person, like if you take me, I'll be a person who will be speaking very fast. Absolutely, Surya. For trust is the key. In order to build the trust, these are few steps that you can take right before you kind of build that bond and relationship with them the moment they see you. So these are few subtle aspects which can bring you to build that trust and rapport. So whenever there is a quiet team member, softening your tone, reducing the pace at which if you're going to talk like 10 words in 30 seconds, make it to 5 words. An example, don't take literal meaning of the words. I'm saying in terms of how do you articulate the disease with these people in order to match and mirror. If the person is very low, the more energetic you shift your pose at which you're sitting and you're talking to them, giving them a smile, that kind of changes their behavior as well. And this is something that is applicable for you also. Whenever you're feeling low, there has been a scientific study that was done, right, in psychology, where they said the person who was feeling low in energy because of some argument they had, some failure they met recently, or whatever be the reason, the person is sulking, they're feeling very bad emotionally. In that particular moment, they asked people to put a pen in their mouth horizontally. So the position of the pen made their mouths to widen, just like you smile. So your mind will not calibrate whether it is true or false. The more they did it, what happened? The mind started picking these signals and then it thought, oh, no more I can keep this person in this mode, and immediately the energy level shifted. So whenever I'm matching and mirroring, when a person in front of me is sitting in a very sulking mode, in a very dull mode, instead of me matching and mirroring their body language and their facial expression, if I change, if my smile is very subtle, I'm being very erect where my entire attention is on them, that will change their energy level as well. So that is your first step in terms of your rapport building, where this is a new team or you're meeting them for the first time, or you're in a very intense conversation where you're doing the coaching for the organization or for the team members. The second step is in terms of pacing and leading. And this is one of the biggest thing, right? Pace first. What do we mean by the space first is somebody will keep telling, again, the same example which I quoted in first step. A person is coming and telling me, hey, you know what, we can't go live today. Instead of getting into the mode, okay, what do we do to go live today? What are the challenges? Who's responsible? What can we do? Instead of going and talking about the plan, first acknowledge what you heard. So what I will do in that point is first I'll pace. Oh, I hear, since I'm seeing Kriti on the screen, I'll say, hey, Kriti, I hear that today we can't go live. There is some challenge. Okay. Then I'm going to lead, asking what has caused this issue suddenly? How long has this issue been existing? When did we find out this particular blocker? What is this blocker going to impact? Is there any other option that we can go ahead with? And then try to understand the perspective or what they are bringing to the table. Now, by this time, you have asked one at a time, one question at a time, not all these questions in one go, right? So now what had happened? The person would have relaxed in front of me. I have pasted, already I have matched and mirrored. I have brought them to the calm energy. And because the first statement that I said is, I hear you that there is an issue for us to go live today. That itself becomes an acknowledgement for the person. Instead of starting the conversation is, who's the reason? What is it responsible for, etc. Now the person is fully attentive to me. So I'm shifting the energy before we try to identify the root cause or fix the problem that is there in hand. That is your pacing and leading. And most of the time, as human beings, not just as coaches, project managers, or scrum masters, right? Most of the time when somebody, including in your personal life, somebody comes and tells you, I'm frustrated, I'm angry about this, then immediately what we will do? We will try to justify or give solutions to it. Think of any conversation, both in your professional and personal life. The moment we hear at the heat of the argument, and particularly when people are pointing at me, I wanted to justify, my defense mechanism kicks in. This is how psychologically it works for every individual human being. But at that point in time, I'll have to stay grounded so that I'm able to pace first and then lead the conversation. When there are questions about you, when they're saying that you have not done this, when they're blaming, like the image that Kriti showed, right? When the boss calls and tells you, I've got a complaint against you. At that point in time, instead of my defense mechanism kicking in, how do I articulate that? How do I process that information first so that I can ask my next question? So that is where your rapport has to come in first, followed by your anchoring and your meta model questioning. Then the third thing is calibration, noting that micro changes. So whenever you're talking with people, you will have these micro changes in their body language and your facial expression. Again, as we saw earlier, like, as human beings, we cannot not communicate. A very common example, when you go into the meetings or as soon as you step into the office or any public gatherings as part of your family or your community, right? You see the person, you wish them and you ask them, hey, how are you? The immediate next response, what do we get? I'm okay, all good, fine. These are the immediate response that you get. You talk to them 5 minutes down the lane, and then you will get a truckload of information which points and says that they are not fine or they are not doing good. We all would have experiences. Even we ourselves do it. When people ask, hey, how are you? The immediate next response is, I'm fine. But are we really fine? Is the amount of information, the micro level changes that I'm seeing in the bodily language and the facial expressions. And particularly as managers, you all would see when you're telling your subordinate to do something and they're not really happy about it, but they're not able to tell no to you and they're just accepting. They'll just say yes, but that yes will never sound as a very congruent yes. The way they articulate that yes will be very different from if they are holistically accepting that or not. So how do I identify that? The way it is articulated, the tone, the sound in which they said an yes, the facial expression they had when they said that yes, the body language they had when they said that yes, all these will help me understand whether they are truly okay to do this or not okay to do this. So these are all micro level changes that I'm using, which is my calibration. How do I apply this as Scrum Masters within a ceremony or within a meeting? Whenever a person talks about the product owner, you will see that their tone and their facial expression changing, which is the pattern of occurrence that you will start looking into. If I'm not happy about someone in my team, somebody doesn't like Vani for that matter, whenever the topic of Vani comes in, the way they respond to it will be very different from the facial expression. Somebody, particularly when they're appreciating Vani's effort, the way this person is going to accept that will be very, very funny when you see that in that lens. There will not be any congruence. So these are the 3 steps in terms of building that rapport with the individuals, particularly as a Scrum Master and coach, which is going to be the foundation for your ceremony so that the people are feeling comfortable to talk about it and they're also opening up. Then in continuation to this rapport is my meta model. And that's why I'm not taking a pause here for questions. I'll finish this and then take up any questions that has come in. So in terms of the meta model, coaching questions that is going to surface the real blocker, right? So there are 3 meta models which NLP is giving. And again, as human beings, not just in an agile setup or project management, we do this in our regular day-to-day communication. We do deletion, distortion, and generalization. These are the 3 things. Where whenever we are conveying something, we will delete some information. Some information is left out. Sometimes it is intentional, sometimes it is unintentional. We distort, we really misrepresent, mind reading or cause effect. And then generalization, our experience becomes an absolute rule. One experience and then we start generalizing it. For example, once you went into a meeting or you went for a presentation, and that day you are really not well for some reason, but you forgot about it. Since you did not deliver presentation properly, now it has stuck. You generalize. I am not good enough for presentation. I am not capable for presentation. So every time, because you're reliving that moment, what will happen? that particular neural path kind of gets triggered, which makes you feel that anxiety and nervousness, which is not going to allow you to deliver the presentation appropriately. So whenever people say that they are not good at public speaking, they have issues in presentation, there is some reason behind it. One experience or two experience in the past, which has led to that because they're reliving that moment every single time. Yes, Vedanta. And then your deletion, where information is left out, right? I heard you're not good at it. If somebody is saying that, and if I were a person in the past, like 10, 15 years before, then I used to feel bad about it. And then I keep replaying that message. Now with all these techniques, what I do is, okay, who said that? What was the context in which they said that? Why did they say that? What exactly did they convey? So these are my questions to identify the deleted information. Because they said that you're not good at it. Who said? What am I not good at? Until and unless I understand this, what will happen is my mind will make this as an identity, and that's where many people will feel low and they're incapable of doing certain things. They would have done a presentation. One place they would have stammered. They would leave that information. The other 9 slides, they would have delivered it in a very good way. But they would only talk about that one slide which was not done well. So whenever somebody comes and says, hey, you do not do this right, or you do not do this well, if that is the feedback, it's a very generic statement. There's a lot of information that is missing. What did I not do good at? In my session, what piece of it was not great? Where was that loss of information? So identifying that. Distortion, misrepresenting. Oh, the team is not talking. They are always silent, which means they do not like me. And we do this most in personal life as well. My partner does not remember the birthday. Okay, he doesn't love me anymore. A very common thing which keeps coming up as part of life coaching that we keep attending to. So people distort the information. Nobody likes me. If there is a situation and then they say nobody likes me. And kids generally do this when they wanted to throw the tantrum. So what information is getting? Okay, was there not even a single situation where people have liked you? Till date, was there nobody who had expressed that they like you or they don't like you? How long have you been with your partner? Is there not even one single time your partner remembered your birthday or wished for your birthday? Now, this is what I'm trying to change in terms of by asking these questions, removing the deletion, distortion, and generalization, whatever is applicable from that statement. Very common example in your day-to-day Agile coaching and master journey, I've given a few examples. Maybe Kriti, you can forward this, post the session to the members as well, just for reference on these PDFs. So the team says the build is broken. Instead of getting panicked about it, reacting to it, ask which specific part, since when. No one is helping. Who specifically are you expecting help from? With what? Do we have the right set of people or not? So these are the areas which you're going to look into. Similarly, distortion, where you kind of say the PO doesn't care about us. What have you seen that tells you this? What makes you tell this? You can ask anyway. You don't have to use exact verbiage. If you miss the deadline, everything fails. What specifically would happen if you miss the deadline? What is the biggest impact if you miss the deadline? Again, the release example that I was quoting, what is the impact? What are the options that we have in hand? Exploring that further. Then your generalization. Retros never work here. A very common thing from a Scrum Master and Agile Coach, which keep hearing, right? My teams are not open. Retros are never working here for my teams. Never has there not even been a single retro where there has been a slightest difference. What one thing that has improved from the day you took charge? So questions like this will help us to break that generalization and go to the root of the problem. So when you are building the rapport, include that along with that meta model. So you will know what exactly this person is going through and then what exactly is the root cause which has to be addressed. And as a Scrum Master and coach, You definitely need this even as project managers for that matter. Now, I have done my rapport building. I have done meta modeling where I've asked questions to go to the root cause of it. Absolutely, Surya. Then I'll have to reframe because the story that I keep telling myself, it makes it an identity. I'm a procrastinator, I'll be a procrastinator. Now, what story am I telling as a Scrum Master and an Agile coach? My team always resists. They do not accept any change. They are not good in terms of Agile adoption. So first for you and also for your teams, how do you reframe these sentences? I'm giving you examples from the scenarios. One, status, reputation. When people are telling stories like, oh, I always get pulled into meetings and never get my real work done. This is a very common problem which comes when they move to agile ways of working. Very common in the initial days. So you'll reframe them to, you're the person everyone trusts to be in the room. And I will not do this immediately, right? I'll go in deep by using my meta models, by using my rapport building. And then towards the end, I'm going to use reframing. So from the story that you have told, all I understand is people come to you because they trust you. In that room, you are the person with so much knowledge or experience. But at the same time, I hear that you are being pulled and you don't have proper focus time to focus on your work as well. So I think we should work on this particular aspect. Now, this reframing, now what has happened, I've elevated the person's status from a psychological standpoint. And if you'll have to explore this psychological standpoint, go and refer the SCARF model. SCARF is a model. So the moment I do that, then now the person is ready. And I'm not just saying that you are a go-to person. I'm also saying that now let's protect your focus time too, because the person says always pulled into meetings and never get to do my real work. That's how the problem statement has started. So start with that. Frustration and advantage. So from frustration, how do you move into advantage, right? My team never listens to my idea and planning, or my team never listens to the agile ways of working. So reframe that after doing meta modeling to understand what information is deleted. When they say never, they are doing a distortion there. They are doing a deletion there. Well, understand, has there not even been a single instance where they have listened? During your tenure with this team for the last 6 months, 3 months, 1 year, was there even a single instant where they have accepted your idea? Doesn't matter if it was 1 year back or 1 month back or 1 week back. So start with that and then go into, okay, your ideas are arriving a little earlier for people to process. So the question is, how do you bring them out? Your generalization exception, nothing ever changes after retrospective. So kind of reframing them. So these are some of the reframing examples that I've given. As I said, Kriti can share you this screenshot as well, along with the meta models, just for you to go through and then understand the frame of it. The more I kind of reframe, my internal wiring will change as an individual. That is what NLP is all about. We are reprogramming your mind. And till date, you have been programmers where you're changing the input, you're changing the code. Now we are reprogramming our mind using these techniques. And all that I've shared so far, first apply it on yourself and then apply it on your team members and your leaders when you're coaching them or being part of the ceremonies, etc. I did say anchoring, right? In each of the ceremony, I've given an example. I'll take a quick example. When they're coming into daily stand-up, asking them to talk about what was one win that they had yesterday. Instead of asking them to talk about what did I do yesterday, talk about one wins they had yesterday. So you're starting it with a positive note. No more it becomes a mundane status activity. Sprint review. Every sprint review, when you open as a Scrum Master, before handing it over for the review or the demo, please ask in terms of or summarize in terms of what the team has achieved through the sprint. And whenever you're doing your sprint planning, always start asking them in terms of anchoring, what does success look like at the end of the sprint? What do they wanted to achieve in this particular sprint is what I'm trying to understand. So I'm starting with that common goal. Sometimes it can be as simple as, I think this time we'll have to achieve 80% of our commitment from the experience they have had so far. Well and good. Now that becomes a commitment. Then you can start in terms of how do you think your commitment that you have made today in the planning will help us achieve that success by end of the sprint. So connect the dots for them. In your retrospectives, again, building the psychological safe space for people to open up. What's said here stays here. And every retro, you kind of get that done. It is not because people don't accept or people don't believe. It is just that in their day-to-day activities, it just fades away. You'll have to remember them. Hey, it's a psychological safe space. So what is said here is more an information and it is not a blame. So that they come with that mindset as they start talking. And every time when it becomes subjective, change it to an objective discussion. So in your sprint cycle, for each of these ceremonies, what you could do is what I've given here and request you to please use this as a template or a tool. I'm not going through the details of whatever we have explained so far, just given in a nutshell for you to start using them in your day-to-day ceremonies and activities as a Scrum Master and coach. And the commitment card, the best Scrum Masters didn't have the best Scrum knowledge. They had the best people knowledge. The more you build people, the more you stay connected with them as a Scrum Master, coach, and a project manager, people open up, which will help you to enable them, empower them, and also create that high-performing team. And that is where NLP is going to be very helpful because you're going to constantly keep rewiring your brain and also the others. Because it's very much necessary. I'll have to leave my beliefs that I've carried as a baggage. So I'll have to reprogram myself in order to reprogram my teams and my leaders. So this is the commitment card. I'll stop here so that Kriti can take you through in terms of the next step that she has. But from this session, I would invite you, it's a humble invitation, where you can say in your next ceremony, which ceremony, what tool are you going to use from what we have seen so far? What did you notice as a trigger or situation? And then what is the outcome? How will you know that you have achieved that and who's going to be your accountability partner? I'm wishing you the very best with this commitment and always feel free to reach out. I know Kriti is going to share my details as well. So you can feel free to reach out for any further questions and in-depth discussions on the same.
Thank you so much, Vani. That was so enlightening that we have to retrospective ourselves as well. Are we reading the room? Are we taking the tone? Now, being project managers, we are so busy chasing deadlines that we also need to take care of our tone that we are talking about, the choice of words, team pacing. That's so impactful, actually. These small things actually makes a bigger impact on the project. Now, I would open the floor. If somebody has any questions, you can please write down your question on chat, or if you would like to talk, you can we can unmute your mic and so on. Okay, I see there's a question from Surya. Being a Scrum Master, how can you build a psychological safety?
So psychological safety comes when people try to first understand that somebody is hearing me or listening to me. That's the first step as a Scrum Master, right? Because most of the time when you go in any roles, right, people always are ready to share what they have experienced from their own experience, advice, and all those things. But the moment you hear them, you listen to them, you acknowledge that, then that makes them feel so safe to open up to you. And when you're articulating that without your judgments and bias, it makes it a more strong psychological safe space, and also it helps you to build a rapport.
That's it. I hope Surya is satisfied with your answer. Okay. I don't see any other question on the chat group, but if you have any questions to Vani or if you would like to connect with Vani on LinkedIn, you can connect with her. This is her LinkedIn IT. Let me just post up the link directly. Now, while we do that, we have an upcoming session where we would want a nice photograph with all of you. So please prepare your camera. And if you would like to have your blush on or best foot, best smile, let's do that. Oh, videos has been disabled. Hmm. I'll check with Shiva or Pallavi if they can enable the cameras for everyone.
So in the meanwhile, can I just answer Surya's question, Akriti?
Sure.
So Surya, in terms of team engagement and ceremonies, again, first is that building that rapport, right? That's your first step. So the more you build that rapport, and as the last statement which I mentioned there, best scrum masters in the world doesn't have best scrum knowledge, but more people aspect. They're best in people managing or people language, right? So when you're able to adopt and flex yourself to address their language. When I say their language, it's not about English, Hindi, Telugu. It's more and over and beyond that in terms of from which experience they are coming, what kind of words they use. So when you use the same words rather than introducing jargons, that is a big win in terms of improving their engagement level. Number two, when people trust you and also people believe that you're listening to them, there is something in it for them as a takeaway, that is when their engagement increases, for which you will have to bring an awareness in terms of why they should participate or why they should engage in each and every ceremony. And what will I use from the NLP perspective to answer to your question is building rapport and meta models. Today, if they are not being engaging, what makes them not being engaging? Rather than telling as a scrum master and coach, hey, my team is not engaging enough, or my team is always silent. It's a one-way communication. Instead of telling this by myself as a scrum master or coach, I'll first use meta model to go coach in terms of asking why, what is the intent behind that specific action.
That's great. I see Surya has a lot of questions. I suggest Surya to connect with Vani on LinkedIn and probably you can have a nice one-on-one discussion with her.
Absolutely.
Okay, before we proceed ahead, I would like to thank Miss Vani SuriaPrakash for generously sharing your experience and wisdom. And as a token of appreciation, PMIPCC chapter, Hyderabad chapter, has honored you with a ticket of 5 trees planted in your name for red pandas in Sikkim, India. Thank you for actually growing our knowledge and sustainability with us. I appreciate it, and we will be sharing this grow tree certificate with you, the email, Vani, so that you can keep a track of the trees that are being planted for you. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, team, and my heartfelt gratitude to the entire quorum and the facilitators and the host today.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Vani. Thanks for taking time. Folks, actually, she's attending another important event, but she has taken stolen 1 hour from that and then sharing her experiences and knowledge with us. Thanks a lot, Vani, for this. You
Thank you
accepted
so
our
much.
request. And I'm sure, like, folks, you have attended, and 92 people are here in the attendance. One of the best attendance so far we had for an Agile sort of session, Vani. So take a leap out of whatever she has told and please implement and get back to her as she has shared her LinkedIn and other profile handles, right? Yeah, thanks. Yeah, over to you,
Thank you
Kriti.
so much, everyone.
Thank you. Well, we are trying to get the cameras enabled for everyone, but I think that's a problem right now. Or
Yeah, one.
sure, is the camera? Can we do that? Or if you want, we can skip the selfie.
Yeah, one. Give me just 30 seconds. Let me see because I'm connected over mobile. So
Mhm.
I don't know. Arvind, if you are
So the option
online.
is enabled. Please everyone turn on your cameras.
Mm. Okay, I can see the beautiful faces. Monday morning. Sorry, this is a Saturday. Oh my God, I'm still on weekday mode.
Kriti, I think you can stop the PPT so that we can get that
Yeah.
one view for everyone.
Okay. Let us know when we have to say cheese or whatever is your favorite word for smiling.
Yes. So something terribly wrong today. Let me just take a screenshot. Cheese.
Cheese.
One more, please. Just a second. Uh, take the next view. Be ready, everyone. I am just clicking a lot of pictures. So, yes, we are done.
Wow.
We're done. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Over to
Thank
Thank
you,
you
you.
so much,
Kriti.
all.
Thank you, Vani. Thank you, everyone. I understand Vani has a hard stop, so Vani would like to take leave from now. Thank you, Vani, for your time. And
Thank you all. Bye bye.
bye.
We have the
Okay.
member talk now.
Uh, Not exactly, but we would like to invite members to be part of the member talk, an exclusive initiative which is designated by members and for members. So basically, we all know it's a virtual platform where PMI Pearl City chapters members can share their experiences, story, learnings, or inspire the community with their expertise and connect and engage with fellow professionals. So we don't have a speaker now, but if you ever wanted to share your journey, ideas, or insights, this is your chance to shine. So please, if you would like to fill in the form and have a member talk, you can. I'm just giving out the link right now. Please fill in the form for if you would like to have the member talk. Okay. A quick reminder for your PDUs. Your PDUs will be automatically credited in 2 weeks if you have provided the correct PMI member ID during registration and also in the chat. If not, please write it to events at PMI -pcc.org. Okay. So if you don't
Yeah,
receive
and
any,
please wait for 2 weeks before mailing events asking for PDUs. So it is 30th. So like by 15th, you don't get it. Like, kindly drop a note. Thanks.
okay. We do have regular updates being posted on our social media handles. So if you would like to receive regular updates, you can scan the code. You can follow PMI PCC on your various social media platform of your own choice. You can uh, do it on LinkedIn, WhatsApp. I think we have Telegram also, and any other social media platform which is comfortable for you. We also send it through emails, the invites. Okay. Now, we would love to hear from you. We would look forward to hearing your thoughts on communication and session engagement. Please let us know if there are any particular areas that require improvement. Additionally, recommend any particular agile speaker topic or topic in which you are interested. We would like to bring it on board and have an engaging session with you all. Please do take a minute to scan and fill out this feedback form. Alternatively, you can use this link to provide it in the comments or use the link shared in the last reminder email. Your feedback will help us make the sessions even better. Yogesh, I would check if we can share the deck. If possible, we'll share it with everyone. Okay, with this, I wrap up this session. Thank you all for joining in the Agile session. We appreciate your time and thank